Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to see you here again. We spent so much time together on our weekly calls, and now that we have shifted them to a monthly call, thank you for joining us again. We appreciate it very much. My name is Bettina Swigger, and I am the CEO of Downtown SLO, your downtown association. And today is Monday, May 17th. We want to start off today by acknowledging the absolutely tragic loss of life from one of our fearless public servants. Detective Luca Benedetti was tragically killed in the line of duty last week. And our condolences to everybody at the City of San Luis Obispo, in the police department, and especially to his family. There are going to be funeral services held at the Performing Arts Center. This is an event that is open to the public. And I believe they are requiring RSVPs for that. We're expecting a large group. I see some people who are associated with the PAC on this call, as well as some people from the city. So if you could post some links to that Eventbrite link into the chat, that would be very helpful. The service is going to be on May 20th. I want to thank our board of directors and our liaisons to the city and county for the 21-2022 year. Our board of directors is pictured here, and we had a very busy meeting last week, primarily reviewing our programs and activities that are coming back to downtown. So we're excited about the fact that Farmers Market came back on May 6th. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, as well as some concert dates for concerts in the plaza, which we'll also share coming up. And we want to just say thank you to everybody who's on our board of directors. We are, like everybody, trying to figure out what life is going to look like with the new CDC guidelines, with higher vaccination rates, and with falling COVID numbers. So at this time, we are going to continue to have our board meetings virtually, and we'll be reporting out the findings from those board meetings at these monthly calls. On the next slide, I'd like to invite Rachel to talk a little bit about where our current reality is in the COVID reality.
Good morning. Thank you, Bettina. So as of Friday, May 14th, we are in the moderate and orange tier. Ignore this little slide up here. The little guy didn't move over yet, but we are in the orange moderate tier, looking at 21,331 cases of COVID-19 in the county with 109 active cases. So really good to see that active case number hovering in the hundreds versus the 200s of the last time we gave an update on these numbers. Again, since the last time we have updated, there have been no additional deaths, but we do remember the 260 lives lost to COVID-19 in our county over the course of this pandemic. Our thoughts are with their families and friends. There have been 245,305 doses of the vaccine administered in SLO County. Some more updates on that piece. So vaccine eligibility, there are changes going. As of June 1st, the county-run sites are going to be transitioning away, but there are a lot of places to get the vaccine still, and eligibility is now open to those who are 12 and older. Testing is also still available, and you can visit readyslo.org for more information on that. With that, Bettina, I will turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you so much, Rachel. And we would love to hear more from our official providers of public health services from the County of SLO. And Supervisor Dawn Ortiz-Legg is unable to be with us this morning, but from her office we have Sarah Sartan. So good morning, Sarah. Thanks for being with us today.
Good morning, guys. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually. Supervisor Ortiz-Legg just wanted me to touch on, everybody to reach out and look at the recoverslo.org website for any updates on rent relief and programs, vaccination locations, and opportunities for small businesses. Lastly, on the topic of rent relief, Supervisor Ortiz-Legg is concerned and aware that it can be a cumbersome process, which is now requiring both renters and landlords to work together. But Newsom has announced that housing providers will receive 100% of rent owed So she appreciates the governor for understanding the difficulties that both tenants and rental property owners have endured during the pandemic. And if anybody needed assistance with, getting back rent paid, they can always check out the Housing is Key or housing.ca.gov website. And that has the most up-to-date information for that. If anybody needs additional support or help, please feel free to reach out to myself, and you can always email me at district3@co.slo.us. Wait, sorry, what is it? Sorry, ours is so long. district3@ca.slo. Let me look this up. I'm drawing a blank right now.
.ca.us.
.us. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I've only had that email for over 3 years now. But and then lastly, the Board of Supervisors will be holding their budget hearings the week of June 15th through the 17th. So we should have more information preceding the budget hearings. And as always, Supervisor Ortiz is excited to meet with anybody with local downtown business that wants to give her a tour or talk to her about, what they do for the community. And again, if you wanted to set anything up with her, you can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to facilitate that for you.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions, if you don't
Sure.
mind. One question about the budget process. I know when we went into this fiscal year, there was a lot of uncertainty about how the budgets were going to work out. Do you have any insights into whether the county is projecting a balanced budget, whether there's going to be a surplus, or do you have any detail on that?
Let me look into it. I'm not quite sure yet, but I can definitely provide you with an email update once I find out.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
another question about downtown specifically is I'm wondering if there are any directives for the county workers who are coming to the offices downtown. If you all have relaxed any of your policies about people working from home, will we expect to see more county workers in the downtown shopping and having lunch?
Sure. Starting probably around June 15th, I think that is the deadline to try to start. Every department's trying to get more and more people in. I think they are still going to be providing different employees the opportunities to continue to telecommute, depending vary on needs with children and whatnot. So you will start seeing more and more county employees returning to the workforce downtown. There's not exact like a deadline mandate saying everyone will be back 5 days a week, but I think right now it's everyone's mandatory 2 to 3 days in the office at least for probably the end of June at least.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very
Yeah.
helpful for us to think about. I know we've definitely missed seeing so many of those daily commuters, and we appreciate the county seat being in our downtown. So thanks very much. If there are no questions from the chat, we definitely appreciate the fact that we have a supervisor who represents downtown who is so open to hearing from all of you. So I encourage you all to reach out directly to Sarah and Dawn's office. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, up next we have Courtney Keno, who is with Cal Poly and also is our Cal Poly liaison to our board of directors. Good morning, Courtney. How are you today?
I'm great, Bettina. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I have new headphones. So, and good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for allowing me a few minutes to give you an update. I have a number of items to run through this morning, but should get through in just a couple of minutes. So the first one is commencement, which I know is very important to so many of our downtown businesses in terms of visitors and traffic and all of that. So you may have seen that we are going to do the large ceremony virtually on Friday, June 10th or June 11th. And then we are going to have 3 ceremonies in person on Saturday and 3 ceremonies in person on Sunday. This past week, it was announced that our graduates can actually have 4 guests instead of 2. It was limited to 2, but talking to public health and how well the county is doing, we were given permission to allow each graduate to bring 4 people. And that's as long as we stay in the orange tier or lower, which is looking like we will be. The next thing I wanted to share with you all is that we have a new ASI president, Tess Laurie. Our current president, Shayna Lynch, has participated in many of these calls with you all, and I know really valued the feedback and interaction with our downtown businesses. So Tess Laurie seems like, in my interactions with her so far, seems like she will too be interested in hearing what you all think. As you can imagine, in that role, she represents all of the student body. So a really great person to know. The next thing, transitioning into COVID and vaccines, it was announced, I think a couple weeks ago, that it is very likely that it will be required for all students, staff, and faculty to be vaccinated to be able to come onto campus in the fall. And that's as long as one of the approved vaccines is FDA approved, so no longer under the emergency use, and that it's readily available to anybody who wants it. So it's looking like those things will be met, and the details of that are being worked out as we speak. We have 2 vaccine clinics on campus for students, one run by our own campus health and wellbeing, and one run by Rite Aid. And it was also announced last week that our students now only need to test once a week instead of twice a week or every 3 days, because of just how well everything is going. And then I know that you all had Joy Peterson, our Dean of Students, on the call last time, and she relayed to me that there were 2 questions that came up that she wasn't able to answer. And one of them was that there was an interest in knowing what the housing market will look like in the fall. So our fall plans are to be operating pretty much, as close to normal as we can. And that means that we will again have about 8,000 students living on campus. And we expect that the community will see really normal levels of occupancy as well. And then the second question that she relayed that came up last time that she wasn't able to answer was slow days, and if those will be virtual or in person. I know those when they are in person, do bring a lot of visitors into town, and they're a mix. I will post the link to the dates and the mode that they're going to operate in the chat so that you all can see when to expect influxes of people. And I think that's it. That was a lot this morning.
That's great. Thank you so much, Courtney. And I want to specifically thank our wonderful students at the Cal Poly Rose Float team, who will share a little bit more about what they've been doing for Mission Plaza and the Mayflower initiative. But we have just been so impressed with that incredible student-led initiative. And we invite you all to come down to Mission Plaza and see the incredible Spring Wings horticulture art exhibit that they have put together in Mission Plaza.
Courtney, it's Chris. I'm wondering if you want to give a brief update on the service on Thursday for Detective Benedetti as well.
Yeah, so thank you, Lee, for posting that link in the chat for people to sign up. We are, as Bettina mentioned, we are expecting a very large crowd, really coming from around the state. We are going to have designated spaces for the family, for dignitaries, for media, and that service will start at 10 o'clock and run for expected to be about an hour and a half, potentially a little bit longer. And there will be a lot of traffic controls down the streets because of that large crowd, and a lot of there's just going to be a lot of presence. And so our law enforcement will be out helping to guide all of that, as well as other entities. And I don't know if, Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's great. And I apologize. I was a little late coming onto the call this morning. So it sounds like you already had some briefing about the service. That's great. Thank you.
Great prompt, though. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Well, thank you, Courtney, and thank you, Chris, for that update. And now we'll go over to the City of San Luis Obispo. Lee Johnson, how are you this morning, Lee?
Good, Bettina. Can you see and hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. Yep. The information for the Eventbrite is in the chat, and there'll be more on the route coming out on Wednesday. There's also a GoFundMe page out there to provide financial assistance to the family for those of you who would like to do that. On other items, we are still in the orange tier, and while 2 of our metrics are in the yellow, the case count is still a little bit high. It's at 2.9. It needs to go below 2. So we'll see what the numbers are tomorrow and see if there's any change to our tier status. Also, the city's budget. The first meeting to hopefully confirm the budget will be in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And the package will come out tomorrow with the full, all the financial plan information then comes out tomorrow, which will give an extra week for people to look at that information and provide feedback. So that's all that I have for today.
Thank you, Lee. And actually, I have a question for you that might be applicable to Sarah as well. So I know last week the CDC announced that vaccinated people can now go out in public not wearing masks. However, we are still under the state of California mask mandate. Is that correct?
That's a county call. I can let Sarah answer, but I'm pretty sure they already sent out an email that says, yes, we're still under the California guidelines and that's being reviewed. But Sarah, if you have something different.
I would just say that I agree, and it is still under the county, the county guidelines, the regular mask ordinance, that nothing has been submitted that anything has changed as of yet.
Okay, so everybody on the call, we can expect to just be doing business as we have been doing it until we hear otherwise from the office of the governor?
I would say if we're used to doing business that we're going to get new information about every time we turn around, then yes, it's business as usual. I think I don't know where the information will end up coming from, and I don't know when and if it will change. I would expect the governor's office of state will do something, and then the county will follow that. But different things have happened along the way, so I think it's just stay tuned, and we'll see what comes about here in the next couple days.
Great. Do you have anything to add, Sarah?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else from the city of SLO, Lee, from your perspective?
Nope.
Okay. Up next, we are going to talk about parking a little bit, and we've invited Alex Fuchs to join us. Many of you have noticed that we have new parking kiosks downtown, and that's very exciting. And we wanted to hear directly from the Parking Services Department about what we can expect with these new kiosks and some other changes that are coming to parking downtown. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, everybody. So we are through 3 full weeks of operating our new pay stations. And I was just looking at revenue this morning, and it seems to be normalized, which means to me that people are not only finding the stations, but they're figuring out how to use them. Last week and the week before, we had up to 5 people going around, particularly during lunchtime, but through most of the day, helping people out, getting them used to the pay stations, where they are, how to use them. We are finding that the contactless payment option, or also called the NFC payment option, where you don't have to insert your card, you just tap it, is not working consistently on all the stations, and the manufacturer is aware of that, and we're looking to replace all the contactless payment readers across the 50 pay stations that we have downtown. So that should make people's lives quite a bit easier, because surprisingly, that is one of the most common forms of payment that people are expecting to use at the pay stations now. And I think a part of it is being pushed by COVID and not wanting your personal stuff to be, touched or used more commonly in a public space. But we have that going next week, and then we have signs going up. They started last week with coring for new signpost locations, and then we will have the signs completely installed by the end of this week, or at least that's what the contractor told me this morning. We have about 85 signs going up on the blocks. 2/3 of them are directing people, wayfinding signs pointing this way, left or right, depending on where they are on the block. And then we'll have a signpost or a sign on a light post next to every pay station, basically showing people where it is. And the pay station signs for where the station is are double-sided, and they'll overhang the sidewalk. So they should kind of get around the issue of some locations where we have very mature trees downtown, kind of obscuring the sight lines of the pay stations, but that should help sort of bring them into view. And then on top of that, we have stickers coming either tomorrow or Wednesday that will provide a station ID for each station, so people know when they contact us where they are and how we can help, and then also how to report an issue to people. And so we decided to go with QR codes, and those QR codes will send an email to every field staff person, enforcement officers, our garage assistants, and then even myself, and then we'll be able to go out and either assist them, correct the issue, whatever they're having at the pay station, or replace a part, clear a jam, whatever it may be. So far, the only real issues that we're having is mainly with payments. All the components are working properly, and we have the system itself will let us know every morning of any issues that it's logged from the previous day. And we have someone dedicated going out and correcting those issues, not only on the pay stations, but the credit card capable meters that we do still have downtown, which I think the last time I took account, it was a little over 100 credit card capable meters that we have, along with the 50 new pay stations that we've installed. We're working on mobile payment as well, and so we have a proposal from a company called Pay by Phone, and Pay by Phone, I believe, is actually owned by the VW Corporation, and so they are slowly putting that technology into new vehicles so that it will be standard. Anytime they go into an area that's zoned for Pay by Phone, it'll automatically notify the driver if they would like to register a payment. And so we're working with them to not only get them under contract for mobile payments, but also work on what is an integrated data management system that will allow us to take on other mobile payment vendors, because something that has been a shift in the industry lately is moving away from offering one sole vendor to offering 2 to 4 vendors for mobile payment options. So we're looking at Pay by Phone, Park Mobile, Passport, and a couple other companies that are out there. And so I'm just waiting for our legal team to come back after they've reviewed the agreement and the language of it, and then let us know that, yes, we can either proceed with executing an agreement with them, or if we have to put it out to bid, which we don't expect, because using this company Curve Track that is partnering with Pay by Phone, we'll be able to execute contracts with other mobile payment vendors. So it's not really a sole source. We're just trying to do that at the initial outset to get somebody under contract, and then we can start to negotiate the other 2 or 3 contracts that we'll bring in. But we expect that to come online sometime during summertime, and then we'll have additional signage that will go out along with it, that will be either located underneath or right next to the pay station signs, that will let people know what zone they're in, how they can access the mobile app, how they can register a payment, and all that good stuff. And then by fall of this year, we're looking at getting one of our garages into what is called a gateless operation. So we'll do the same thing, put in pay stations, offer mobile payment. It'll all be through the same vendors, so it'll all be part of one large system, as opposed to having the garage separate from the on-street stations. And then we'll actually take the gates out, so that it'll help with not only entries but exits. And as we expect with us to continue to reopen, that we'll get busier, we'll have more backups, kind of like we do at the Palm Garage, and so that will sort of be solved by removing the gates, allowing people to either pay up front, extend by phone from wherever they are, and then when they go to leave, they can just drive on out. But we're going to do 842, and that project is contingent on council approval of the financial plan, but we're going to do 842 Palm first, and then if we're successful in implementing gateless operations there, then we'll move to the other 2 garages in the following year. But a lot of good stuff. Like I said, overall, pay station project has been fairly successful, and we're just, including those final elements. And I know we've been doing some temporary signage for farmers market, and we'll look to do permanent signage on the station themselves. And then we also have the posted hours of operation, and we're looking to update those. We were a little bit behind when the closure area was expanded to Choro in that portion of Higuera. We didn't have the signs ready, but we should be getting them in this week. It's just every vendor that we've contacted about getting either stickers or signage is saying that, hey, they're busy and they're gonna, we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer than usual, but they're in production now.
Thank you, Alex. I did want to provide a little bit of feedback on the rollout of the kiosks. I think they have, it's a good thing, and ultimately, right, we love progress. But it has been very confusing for the consumer who comes to park to not see those signs, not see those arrows. And I just wanted to share that with you. We've seen, customers kind of struggling, and we've heard feedback from some of our businesses that they're spending a lot of time trying to educate. I did have a question. If you pay at one of the kiosks and you park your car and then you walk and you go to shop at a business somewhere else, can you pay at another kiosk for your car that's a couple of blocks away?
You can pay at any station that's on the same block in which you've registered a session. But we're looking to change that as we bring on mobile payments. We're going to expand to one large zone. So yes, you will be able to do that at any station, but right now it's just your session is confined to the block in which you've parked.
Okay.
And that's a very common question that we get, and we've actually put out an FAQ sheet on our webpage that answers not only that question, but about 60 other questions about logging payments, entering your license plate correctly, which is something that we're getting as people are just plugging in 1, 2, 3 just to start a session, not realizing that our enforcement is tied to the plate, which ties to their parking session. So we're working on that as well.
Sure. And I know you're talking about doing QR codes on the signage, but we also see a number of visitors who come to the downtown who maybe are not as fluent in QR codes. So if there's any opportunity to actually put a phone number as well, I would recommend that highly for accessibility purposes.
Yeah, and the big challenge we have is just because we don't tie into police dispatch the way other agencies do with parking enforcement, is that we don't have a single number that is accessible not only weekdays but weekends, and so we're working through that right now. But we're hoping that the report an issue via QR code will be a good middle ground in order to just get that communication to us. But like I said, the system will push any sort of faults or errors that are occurring with the equipment, whether it's a coin jam, faulty card reader, even if it's been taken offline somehow, through vandalism or poor solar panel production, that we'll know about that as well. So we're hoping that the report issues will be kept at a minimum, especially once we get this contactless payment figured out, because that's the most common issue we're hearing about right now is people are going, hey, it's not taking my card, what do I do? Essentially, we're telling them just insert your card or coin to register a payment, and then yes, we will have the contactless payment corrected in the next couple weeks.
Okay, great. 2 more questions. One, when will the meter poles be removed?
So we're working on construction plans right now to have the poles removed, and I'm giving them quite a bit of leeway, and I'm expecting them to be removed by the end of June. And that really just gives us time to put the plans together, put them out for bid, which is usually a 2 to 3 week process, award the contract, and then for the contractor to mobilize. But once they get going, the fastest I've seen it done is about 15 minutes per post. There are almost 400 that need to be removed, including some that are taken up by parklets right now. So given limited construction hours and noise that'll go along with it, I expect it'll probably take about 2 weeks to complete the entire removal of the post. So that's why I'm kind of aiming for toward the end of June.
Okay, and then the anticipation is that the mobile payment option will be coming on around the same time?
Yeah, and that's dependent, of course, if we can execute this agreement now, just to get the process going, and then to get other vendors under contract at a later time. But yeah.
Okay. And at one point, I know there had been a discussion, perhaps even at like a city council study session, I don't recall the specific date, where there had been the idea of bringing on a mobile pay solution that was the same as the one that's used on the Cal Poly campus. so that there would be consistency throughout the community. Do you know, is this the current plan?
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Cal Poly uses Park Mobile, and we're looking to get them under contract because of the familiarity with students and parents and faculty with being on campus. And then we've also been in discussions with Marlene Kramer at Cal Poly with her interest of getting pay by phone under contract. So not only will we have hopefully one like vendor, but multiple vendors that will be offered at both locations.
Okay. Yeah, it would also be interesting to see if there are other mobile pay options throughout the county, if there would be a chance to have that platform be similar so that when people are coming to visit, we know they don't just stay in the city of SLO, or they just go to Paso, or they just go to Pismo. And it sounds
Yeah.
like that's kind of what you're thinking about.
Yeah, I believe Paso has, I think it's Park Me under contract right now, and they're looking at getting a second payment vendor. And then I know Morro Bay is getting into paid parking, and then Pismo is either offering or going to be offering a mobile payment app. So yeah, that's the goal, is that they'll all be either the same, whether it's one or two, but make it as easy as possible for people that are coming up to visit, that are hopping from city to city, so they don't have to continue to download an app, register a new account with a new vendor. They can just continue to use Park Mobile, Pay by Phone, Passport, or what have you at multiple locations.
Okay, thank you. And I lied, I actually have two more questions. And if anyone else has questions, please put them in the chat too. My question is, we've observed just sort of an anecdotal rise in visitation to the downtown. Has that been evident in the parking structures?
Yes, we are seeing an uptick, but it tends to be on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday sort of end of the week spectrum. And we're seeing that as well with our on-street revenue collection, is that Saturday is by far the busiest day, and it continues to grow. And especially with Mother's Day, was it last weekend? I'm going to get in trouble if I don't get this correct. On the 9th. Yeah, it was a very busy day for us. And then we have our enforcement officers going to the garages during farmers market closures, and they're seeing more activity in the garages on Thursday nights now than we did before farmers market was reinitiated. And we are bringing on more garage staff. So we have 3 new people that have started in the past month, and we have 2 additional people that are possibly coming off of a suspended status because now they're fully vaccinated. So we should be at what we're going to consider to be full staffing in the garages, at least for the summertime. And then when Cal Poly comes back into session in September, we'll look to even expand beyond that.
Okay, great. And you brought up a great segue with farmers market. One other thing that people should probably be aware of is that the hours of parking enforcement are going to change in July. Is that correct?
Maybe. Well, if council approves it, yes, and our hours will be going from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday would be from, instead of 1 to 6, it'd be 1 to 9. And we're asking that the earliest it can take effect is July 1, but the reality is we want to actually get staff on board that can enforce during those hours, and right now we just don't have the capacity to do it. And so assuming it's approved, HR is already ready to post those positions, and that's so we can start the recruitment, hiring, and onboarding process, which typically takes a couple months. And so I'm actually going to talk to Gavin later today about the timing of everything, so I can get more specifics back to you. I haven't been trying to bug him. He actually, for those that don't know, he just had his first child, and they're all happy and healthy and at home and doing very well. But he said he's going to start answering emails beginning today, so I get to bug him a little bit today. But yeah, that has been coming up about, is everything going to take effect July 1st, or is there going to be sort of a phased implementation? And my thought is the rate increases, if they're approved, would take effect July 1, because that's something that we can do right away. Extending the enforcement hours would take not only more staff, but additional signage, and that may take a couple months to implement. But HR is not going to approve the recruitment until council signs off on the position. So I would expect probably by mid to end September, we would have the 2 full-time and the 2 part-time positions on board and ready to start evening, nighttime enforcement.
Great. Well, thank you, Alex. And I know from our organization's perspective, we will be looking to have more regular meetings of our parking and access task force so that we can continue to provide meaningful, timely feedback to this process, because there are a lot of changes that are coming up that are going to affect the customers and the businesses and the people who live downtown.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it.
Great. Okay. If there are any other questions for Alex, now's your last chance. Thank you for letting me pepper you with the questions, and congratulations to Gavin on expanding his family. That's great.
Yeah, Haley Kalani Ray.
Oh, welcome to the
Beautiful.
world, Haley.
Yeah, she says he said she's eating well and sleeping well, which is the ideal situation for a newborn right now. But
great. Hope that keeps up.
yeah.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it very much. All right. Up next, Mr. Jim D'Antona from the Chamber of Commerce. How are you, friend?
Doing great. It's good to see you. Glad to be here. Glad to see everybody's faces. We're working diligently on kind of pulling together, what changes might be happening with come June 15th. But so one of the things we're starting, obviously our programs are starting to ramp up. These will still be virtual at the moment. Our Inside Studio program actually is tomorrow. We're doing a management series, and you can see we have some great speakers with Kara Cry and Jim Duffy and Russ Levenway, but Cal Stevens will be leading that conversation to help kind of that mid-management team and your staff who need, who you want to try and elevate, get you some of that management training. So we've created a series. It's a 3-part series. You can go to one or you can go to all of them. There'll be several. There'll be 3, 1 in May and 2 in June. And obviously over lunch there. So that'll be going forward tomorrow. So if you haven't had a chance to sign up, you should definitely take a chance to get that. I'll drop a link in the chat for that. Additionally, on Thursday, we will be running a free webinar for vaccine and work. We have Dr. Kevin Parzik, Michelle Shoresman, and Angela Toomey from Morrison Garitano. We're going to join us and talk about all of these questions that are coming up. The number one question I get is, how are you bringing people back to work? Or what should we know? And this group here is a great group to kind of deal with that. We have an HR, Angela is an HR person from Morrison Garitano. Dr. Parzik from the vaccine side, obviously he has a lot of great information. I've heard him speak on it before, he's wonderful. And Michelle Shoresman from the county will also be there to talk. So this is just it's a free webinar on Thursday, May 20th from 2 to 3:30. I'll also add the link to that in there. Feel free to share it around, get that out because we want to obviously get to as many questions as we can. And we're going to also make this anonymous, so you can ask questions and not fear that you are going to tip off somebody or make a statement that people won't want to be a part of. So from that perspective, we're encouraging everybody to join us on that discussion. Additionally, then Friday or in April, we finished up a survey of our community, working with all of our partners in the chamber world, all the way from northern Santa Barbara County to Paso, and had some great survey results, just to show the business sentiment has, been pretty consistently low and not very positive. April's results were incredible. We saw the numbers go through the roof, double in terms of optimism of where things were going finally from those early March days. It has really improved. We looked at, incredibly the expectations or how business is going, how are they seeing? They think their business is running almost doubled excellent to good, that their business is going, and nearly halved the ones that came in at poor. Additionally, we're seeing folks were reporting their revenues were up. So we're really starting to see some upward trends. I think everybody's feeling like that finally maybe that light at the end of the tunnel is almost reachable here. And so it was really interesting. So if you want to click on the link in there, you can get a little bit more of a deep dive into that piece. And just want to share that information out with everyone. And look forward to seeing you guys around, and anything we can do to help and keep us going in the right direction, we're trying to do it.
Thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate it. And I'm glad to hear that your survey is generating positive responses. We can kind of feel it. It's palpable out there in the community. So it's always good to have data to back that up.
Absolutely.
And can you just tell me real quick, what date is the next Good Morning SLO, since we won't?
Yes, that's right. We won't have it. So next is May 24th. Yeah, May 27th. Sorry, doing my math wrong. That's is the next Good Morning SLO, and we're gonna have some great speakers, some fun ones to talk about. But we'll send it around to everyone and share it out. And we're getting ready and prepped to bring that back live shortly. So there'll be more information on that at the next conversation with you guys.
Oh, exciting. Very exciting. Great. Well, thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Okay, up next, we are going to hear about Central Coast Pride, which kicks off this week. It is Pride Week, and then next month it is Pride Month. So Dusty, thanks for joining us this morning. Give us an update. What's Pride going to look like this year?
Awesome. Good morning. Thanks for having me. I had the pleasure of serving on the Central Coast Pride Committee, our 25th anniversary, theme Strong, Proud, United. Usually this takes place locally in July, June still being Pride Month, but recognizing that there are other big celebrations that take place around the state in June. Historically, the Central Coast has done our event in July. But wanting to be inclusive of our friends and supporters from Cal Poly, moved it up to May this year to try it out for size. So a fun week planned to celebrate mostly virtual events. And so you can kind of have your pick a la carte of all the fun activities.
Dusty, you muted yourself.
I was trying to hit enter and I hit the space bar instead. Kind of a series of fun events kicking off this evening. There are lounges and talks every single day, but also this evening will be the car caravan around downtown, starting at United Staffing Associates office at 505 Higuera Street. Decorate your car, put on your rainbow finest, and feel a little cruise around downtown to celebrate Pride. I know it will be ending at Skippers and Slow Provisions, where snacks and beverages will abound. So it's a great opportunity just to kind of be festive and go around downtown. As one of the only live events that's taking place. I'm still encouraging everybody to maintain appropriate social distance with their family unit in their car. But there's also a lot of great opportunities for art. There's an art exhibit by appointment at the Gala Pride and Diversity Center. Some great partnerships also as we move through into June, the continue Pride celebrations, where we've had the pleasure of partnering with the City of San Luis Obispo and the Promotional Coordinating Committee to have one of the plaza pop-ups. Right now it's the wonderful flowers, but love notes from Gala will be taking place in the month of June. Your opportunity to get to the Pride and Diversity Center and create a little art and some affirmations, notes of love for our LGBTQ+ community that will be utilized in the installation. Continuing with art, I know towards the end of this week, also partnering with the SLO Museum of Art, where there will be art kits provided for a take-home art activity as well on Saturday, between 11 and 1, I believe they'll be available for pickup at the museum. Otherwise, there's also some really fun things like a secret Pride menu, partnering with restaurants and cafes around the community for a special Pride item this week, going into those establishments and just asking what their fun item they might be doing for Pride. The list is on the website, including great places like Luna Red has a Yas Queen cocktail. So if you're finishing work for the day, go and get yourself a Yas Queen. but all over the place, including also into June. McConnell's ice cream is going to have a sprinkled with Pride ice cream flavor. So there's all kinds of fun things coming around for Pride. Almost all of the events are 100% family friendly, except for some of the Friday lineup, which is our 18+ lineup. For some of those iconic events, there is a drag and burlesque show that is available virtually and live streamed.
Thank you so much, Dusty. This sounds super fun, and you can tell the creativity that went into reimagining all of these activities. I appreciate especially the fact that you explained why Pride Week is in May and then Pride Month is in June, because I have had a little bit of challenge ever since I moved here trying to wrap my brain around it. So thank you for explaining that.
Sure.
And we're looking forward to helping to promote the pop-up in the plaza in June, and we'll connect with you so that we have all the correct information to share about that.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, wanted to give you an update from our partners at the International Downtown Association. We continue to work very closely with them, and I have meetings regularly on a screen like this with some of the CEOs from some of the major downtowns in the United States and around North America. There is another Grow with Google virtual workshop tomorrow, and we would invite you to check this out if you have a chance. They have some wonderful resources that are free for you. There's a whole digital readiness campaign, and we'll share that information in our weekly member email that goes out on Tuesdays as well. If you can go to the next slide. I wanted to share a little bit from a survey that I got to learn about at one of these IDA meetings. This was a survey where 23 districts across the US from all over the country, including 3 districts in California from urban and rural areas, provided their feedback about kind of what they're thinking about as they get back into their expectations for the summer. So people are planning to get out, but they're still nervous. And I think it's just kind of interesting to think about this. We're, of course, planning for things to come back that we love and that we care for greatly. But people are still concerned about the pandemic, and that makes sense given the disease transmission and the rate of vaccination. If you look closely at this, you can see some more details, and we'll send this out with the member email that goes out tomorrow as well. I'll send you this entire link to this survey. You could go to the next slide. People are wanting to go to events, but they do still want some safety policies. So as we're trying to, puzzle our way through what things are going to look like when the CDC says something, the governor says something, the county says something, people are going to still want to have their behavior modified in some capacity, and they're going to be willing to do that at this time. So when you're thinking about larger outdoor events, they are going to happen, but they're going to look a little bit different across the country. On the next slide, you can see that some people are just not going to attend events at all. Some people are going to feel safe. But especially because many people are parents of young children, and young children are not allowed to be vaccinated yet because of the rules and policies around that, people are going to be staying cautious as well. If you can go to the next slide, we can see the comfort level with going back to indoor dining. We are so fortunate, obviously, we live in California where, today is a cold and wintry day at 64 degrees. So we are going to see probably fewer people dining outdoors today, but we can truly dine outdoors year round. This is a bigger issue for some of the other communities where they have inclement weather, or in communities where some of you have lived before, where it's like humid outside and very, very hot. Can't do outdoor dining during the summer. People are a little bit hesitant about going back to indoor dining, and we'll continue to see that. On the next slide, people coming back to downtown. There's an issue, whether it's real or perceived, about feeling safe and secure when you visit downtown. And this is related to a number of issues. It can be related to people experiencing homelessness and seeing individuals who are in that plight. It could be issues around potential break-ins or lack of activity because of abandoned office buildings where people are now working from home. We are not as colored by those activities as some other communities, but we certainly do see some of that. And so we definitely should keep an eye on this. And this is again from a nationwide survey that is just always good to have data to look at. At the next slide, Some people are planning fewer visits coming downtown. And what was interesting from this survey is really the fact that it was unclear whether the correlation was that people had been going downtown to work, and as a result, they were going to be coming downtown to work less since they were working from home, or if they had just changed their visitation, and that could be due to ordering takeout, ordering delivery, getting their groceries delivered, maybe shopping online more than they did before. So our job at Downtown SLO is really going to create these opportunities to plan experiences that you can't have inside your home, right? We've been so focused on the virtual reality, but we really want to provide opportunities for people to come downtown that are unequal to anything that they can see or experience in the privacy of their own home. On the next slide, transportation and access, of course, continues to be a huge, huge topic of conversation. And in some ways, the shift away from being a car culture has been derailed. No train pun intended there. But with disease transmission and people not wanting to go into public transport and wanting instead to stay in their personal vehicles, we saw in some larger metropolitan areas, in fact, vehicle ownership skyrocketed as people started to purchase cars and drive cars who had never owned cars before. We saw this in New York and San Francisco and other urban areas. We're going to continue to see the personal vehicles being the dominant mode to get downtown. And that's definitely been true for our downtown. It will continue to be true for our downtown. And as we look forward to issues of parking and access and expanded parking enforcement hours, a new parking structure coming into the downtown, all of these things are paramount to how we can continue to support downtown. Now, we also know that biking is a good way of getting here, as is walking. So people do still walk or bike to get downtown. And we also want to remember that it's National Bike Month. So happy National Bike Month to you. I think that might be the last slide. Can you go to the next one, please? Dining habits, yes, thank you. So the popularity of takeout for restaurants, we've seen them transform. It's not just the outdoor dining, but it's the idea that you could order takeout from a fine dining restaurant. This will probably continue. People are really enjoying ordering takeout and delivery. And in some places it's, you know, in SLO, I know for us that like to support local, we've taken it on to be sort of a local patriotism act. I order takeout and I am doing something for my community. I know all of you feel the same way too, and that's likely to continue. So even as we go back to indoor dining or outdoor dining or dining in restaurants, that habit about taking takeout will continue. On the next slide. Vaccine passports. This is a popular and controversial topic, but people are going to want to require vaccines to fly or attend events. So we're likely to see this conversation continue to raise itself in volume, and we'll probably hear people on both sides say very different things about it, but this is not going to go away anytime soon. On the next slide. That's it. Okay, thank you for bearing with me while I showed you through that survey, and I will send out the results from it. I think it's very interesting. We'll send that out in the Tuesday member email that will come into your inbox. So we were delighted to bring back the Thursday Night Farmers Market on May 6th. We have now had 2 markets, and we wanted to invite our program director for the Farmers Market, Whitney Cheney, just to give a little bit of an update on how things have been looking down there. Whitney?
Thank you, Bettina. Yes, it's been really great to be back on Higuera Street. We've had 2 markets so far, started on May 6th. The community support has just been incredible. The first market back, I think every news channel was there and every Mustang News reporter was there, and all was well received. The stories that came out of it were so positive and heartwarming, and everyone just was so, it was like a therapeutic moment for everyone that was there. So we're stoked to be offering it every Thursday, 6 to 9. The streets do close to traffic beginning at 5 p.m. We are alerting all of the downtown businesses that are within those boundary closures so that they know how to plan their staffing, as well as alerting their customers to that fact. Over the last 2 weeks, our Glean SLO volunteers have gleaned over 400 produce on a weekly average that is then redistributed to those in need through the Salvation Army, which is so incredible. We're so thankful for that volunteer program. We're offering EBT, also known as CalFresh, to those who are enrolled. You can come to our information booth and connect with our food access coordinator, Betty, and she'll get you all set up to get some EBT tokens to then use within the market. If you have questions about EBT, you can ask her, and she is well-versed in all of that. I would like to give a huge thank you to everyone at the city and county who has been assisting us with getting this thing up and going, including parking services, public works, SLO PD, SLO Fire, county health. Everyone has been so instrumental in making this happen. And I know there's been a lot of communication and a lot of learning curves as we get out of our COVID and shake all that off and get back into operation mode. So definitely so thankful for those partnerships. And huge thank you. Last week, Laura Mullen and Carl Dudley, who are on our board, volunteered their time and helped us out as barricade monitors, and we are so thankful to have them. We've actually had a great response to our volunteer program at Farmers Market, and it's been really nice to have people there who are able to help people find restaurants to go to for dinner and find other things to do downtown over the weekend. We will continue to evaluate the California Health Code and what's coming out from that respect in terms of our expansion and who can come into our market. And I will be reaching out to all of our vendors who have previously participated to kind of give them a timeline of what to expect and how to prepare for when they're able to return.
Great. Thank you so much, Whitney. And I think you said there were 400 produce, but was that 400 pounds of produce?
400 pounds of produce on average is being gleaned from our market, and that's the farmers donating it, and then it's redistributed to those who have food insecurities through Salvation Army.
It's wonderful. It's just great. Yeah, it's so fun to be back on Higuera Street. We invite you to come out and support the farmers. It's just, it feels like good old days, but in a new way. So we love seeing it. Thank you so much. And we will see you all on Thursday night again, downtown. So in partnership with the city of San Luis Obispo, we are so delighted that our Mayflower pop-up in Mission Plaza is blooming and changing each week. Over the weekend, the Cal Poly Rose Float team installed their Spring Wings Phase 2, and that is this beautiful pink, orange, and yellow butterfly. This is made of welded steel, and it is, they took it away on Friday, they brought it back on Saturday, all painted up and ready to go. This is a student-led initiative, and they have just done an astonishing job putting this work together. This coming weekend, they will be, again, taking the butterfly away and bringing it back, and they will be decorating it with live flowers, just the way they do at the Rose Parade every year. So they will be bringing in hundreds of these little vials, and you can see them. They'll place them onto the butterfly and around the flower pot. And you got to go through Mission Plaza and check it out. It is really so cool to see what they've done. And we appreciate the partnership with Cal Poly, and we appreciate the partnership with the city of SLO to make this happen. You can also, while you're in the plaza, see some chalk art that our wonderful Katie McGrath has done from Badger Branding. And she brought her son and their preschool class from Trust Automation Children's Center, and they did some chalk art in Mission Plaza, which is so fun to see the kids and the chalk art come to life. Also in Mission Plaza, you can see an oversized map of all of the 87 window blooms that are downtown, and that's all of the painted windows presented by more than 75 local artists who've participated in the Mayflower initiative. And we have a scavenger hunt with the SLO Children's Museum that's about finding and protecting the monarch butterflies. So you can pick up a rat card in the plaza, and there's a wayfinding activity for you to do with your kiddos. And at the end of the wayfinding activity, you get a package of milkweed seeds to take home and plant in your garden to bring the butterflies. So this Mayflower initiative has really turned into so much more than just pretty flowers and windows. It's become this community art initiative. The progress that these artists have made is just astonishing. I love this picture of the convertible in front of Patrick James. This is actually the artist who painted, I think there's 37 of those giant flowers on those windows. She took on a very big project and took this picture of her in her classic car. You can also see in the lower right-hand corner, the artist who did the Old Slow barbecue has created this like stained glass masterpiece. Check them out. They are really stunning and beautiful, and we've loved seeing the creativity of these artists on display. So The Mayflower initiative was born out of sadness and a little spark of hope that we wanted in 2020, and we think it's going to turn into an annual tradition. So thank you for your support in this project. All right, up next, I'm going to ask our events manager, Nisha Johnston, to tell us a little bit about what our plans are for concerts in the plaza. Nisha.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, you are the first to hear it. We are so excited to bring back Concerts in the Plaza this summer in Mission Plaza. We have modified this schedule, so it's actually going to be an 8-week series rather than our traditional 14-week, but it'll start on Fridays, August 6th through September 24th. And we have a killer lineup, which includes Damon Castillo, who will be kicking off the first season, as well as the 8 other bands. If you're interested in a sponsorship for any of the bands or anything else, reach out to me, and we're excited to see where this comes.
Great, thank you, Nisha. Yeah, so excited to see that. And this will be our 25th anniversary season, so a lot to celebrate, and it'll be a little bit different, but it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll be publishing the information on the sponsorship information about that. And also we're putting together sponsorship information for our farmers market, because in our reduced capacity, we are going to be seeking some fiscal support to keep growing the market and bring it back over the months to come. So at this time, we're going to wrap up our May monthly response and recovery call. So thank you for staying with us for the entire time. If you have, good job. It's really great to see you. I miss seeing you weekly, but it has been nice to have a little bit of time on our Monday mornings. Before we all say goodbye, I do want to publicly acknowledge that this is Rachel Meyer-Reno's final response and recovery call with Downtown SLO. And Rachel has been our chief operating officer, and she has been the engine that has kept these calls going. She is extraordinary and talented, and we are going to miss you so very much, Rachel. So thank you for all of your great work at Downtown SLO, starting as an intern, and your service to our downtown has just been extraordinary.
Thank you, Bettina.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in your inboxes around Higuera at Thursday night. Thank you for being here today. Let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for everything you do to make Downtown SLO so wonderful. Have a great day.